Alicia Connor. I've been working with Brady on this project to determine the financial position of Buffalo Wild Wings, but I have been on vacation for the past week, so we had to do our videos separately. Buffalo Wild Wings was founded in 1982 by Jim Disbrow and Scott Lowry. They ran into each other one day and said, hey, let's get some New York style chicken wings. They couldn't find any, so they decided to make their own. They strategically located their first business in the college town of Columbus, Ohio. The first store opened near the Ohio State campus. It was named Buffalo Wild Wings and Weck. It featured barbecued chicken wings with 12 sauce choices, and they also offered beef sandwiches that was served on Kimmel Weck buns, which is where the Weck name came from. A third partner was added in a few years later. His name is Mark Lutz, because the company has taken off so well. In the 90s, the company began franchising with a Chicago-based law firm called Fran Corp, and it resulted in 14 locations in Ohio alone just 2 years later. In 1992, Disbrow decided to relocate the headquarters of Buffalo Wild Wings to Minneapolis because his family was in Cincinnati and he had been commuting and it was just too much for him. This caused the financials to become a little chaotic, and at one point almost caused the company to file bankruptcy. Although in August 1996, Sally J. Smith, who had been hired to stabilize their financials, was able to get them stabilized, and the company appointed her as president and CEO. By the end of 1996, Buffalo Wild Wings had 75 restaurants open, and 65 of those were franchises. By 1999, there were 100 restaurants. 2006, there were 415 locations spread throughout 37 states, and the company opened up its 800th store in 2011. As of February 2016, there were 1,175 locations throughout all of the United States, Canada, Mexico, and Philippines. So it's obvious that the company is growing at a tremendous rate. Fourth quarter sales in 2011 determined that the growth of 36.4% to $202.9 million. And in 2012, Buffalo Wild Wings also met their target of 20% net income growth. Over the past 3 years, they have seen constant growth with profits and total revenue. However, they have seen an increase in sales, but their overall net income has been decreasing, which is likely due to the fact that their operating expenses are also increasing. The biggest problem facing the company is that it is slowly increasing its debt due to the rapid expansion and the opening of just multiple locations all the time. Buffalo Wild Wings competition is Hooters, Dave & Buster's, and Miller's Ale House in the market segment of sports bars. Chicken specialty companies such as Wingstop or Zaxby's, Buffalo Wild Wings can't even compare. They're up ahead against their competition almost all the time. It's had the largest market share of the segment at 47.56%. So they're doing a great job staying ahead of their competition and should really keep it up. In order to determine the financial position, we did the current ratio and working capital ratio for the company. The current ratio in millions came out to be 0.7306. It's a little concerning, and it could be the indication that they will run into difficulties paying off their short-term debts with their current short-term assets. In order to increase this ratio, they could convert a portion of their $870.6 million of non-current assets into cash, or they could work to obtain more long-term loans rather than short-term, as they currently have $205.3 million in long-term, and they need to decrease the $241.9 they currently have in short-term liabilities. Working capital ratio in millions for 2016 was negative 65.1. Negative working capital is never good, so it may determine that the company may lack funds necessary to contribute to the growth of their business. In order for them to increase, they could sell a portion of their $870.6 million in long-term assets for cash, or they could issue a portion of their common stock or preferred stock for cash. Solvency ratio in 2016 in millions for the company was 1.979 compared to that of 2.571 in 2015. So this determines that in 2016, for every $1 of liabilities, they had $1.98 in assets, which is a 98% cushion, which is always good. They shouldn't be concerned because that is a relatively high ratio. However, it has decreased in since 2015, so they should make adjustments to increase that number back to where it was. The debt equity ratio in 2016 was 1.022 compared to that in 2015 that was 0.636. The ratio of 1.022 indicates that for every dollar of owner's equity, creditors owed $1.02. This means that investors and creditors basically had the same amount of equal stake in the business's assets. In 2015, their debt equity ratio of 0.636 indicated that for every dollar of owner's equity, creditors owed 63 cents. So they had just over half as many liabilities as they did equity. The increase of the ratio between 2015 and 2016 indicates that the company is becoming less financially stable, and as time goes by, and they're depending more on debt at this point than they were in the prior years. So they should make adjustments in order to get that back to where it was. The turnover ratio for Buffalo Wild Wings in 2016 was 72.996, which indicates that the inventory is being managed rather efficiently. They don't have a lot of excess inventory on their hands, which is not something a company wants anyways, and they should work to keep that number as high as possible. The profit margin for 2016 in millions for Buffalo Wild Wings was 0.0474 compared to that in 2015 where it was 0.0523. This determines that in 2015 for every dollar of revenue, 5.2 cents was profit for the company, and in 2016 that decreased to 4.7 cents on every dollar of their revenue was becoming profit. Profit margin determines the ability for the companies to generate sales and control their expenses, so they should, in order to maintain their expenses and sales efficiently, they need to work to get the number back to where it was. This means that the company is struggling to maintain the higher number in the previous years, and it should be a little concerning for the company. The return on assets, the profitability of assets in 2016 was 0.08889, and in 2015 it was 0.09852. It judges the overall profitability of a company's assets. So the return on assets in 2016 was 8.89 cents of profit for every dollar of average or total assets, and that is down from 2015 when the company made 9.85 cents for every dollar of average of total assets. Again, this is concerning for the company because it means that the assets are not as profitable as they once were in the previous years, and so they should determine what to do in order to get those numbers back up. The labor cost percentage in 2016 was 0.3014, and in 2015 it was 0.2994. These are really similar numbers. So the labor cost of the overall revenue was 30% in 2016, which is about average for a large company such as Buffalo Wild Wings. This is similar to 2015, so they should work to keep those numbers back where they are. Labor basically makes a company run, so keeping that at around 30% is really important for the company. Overall, the company should be alarmed because their net income is decreasing as their sales are increasing, so their operating expenses are increasing at a rate that they can't keep up with. They should maybe consider slowing down on their expansion and taking care of the debts that they have at this point in order to get their ratios back to where they need to be. Overall, Buffalo Wild Wings is still ahead of their competition, and so they're still doing well at this point, but their future is hard to determine unless they get their operating expenses and debts under control. So they should work to get those back to where they were and have been in the previous years, and they should be on their way to profitability.